Welcome everyone to Marvel Hub. This is DK Dynamite, and today we're going to be talking about D23, Disney's Expo that they do about every 2 years or so during the middle of August. And obviously people were speculating that at D23 this year, they'll be revealing more of Phase 4 and possibly even Phase 5. Now Kevin Feige obviously confirmed that the slate they showed for Phase 4 at SDCC 2019 is the complete slate for Phase 4. They won't be adding any movies to that slate, but obviously, as with the previous phases, changes could be made at the very last minute. Movies could be replaced, movies could be scrapped. We just never know. But clearly, it seems like they really have their shit together for Phase 4. Every movie that was confirmed is either in pre-production or is currently being written. So I highly doubt any of those movies or even TV shows on Disney Plus will be replaced by any means. But at the very least, we'll definitely see Sony confirm a Spider-Man 3 very, very soon, and it'll likely be releasing at some point during the middle or maybe even closer to the end of Phase 4. I'd expect it to release in 2021, since it seems like their plan is to have a solo Spider-Man movie every 2 years. But in terms of the potential D23 plans that may have leaked, we have a post over on the Marvel Studios Spoilers Reddit, and this is from the Marvel Scoop Master, who I believe has been a very reliable leaker in the past with movies like Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame, and even Spider-Man Far From Home. So here's exactly what he wrote. After I saw this, and I'll put that on screen, it's essentially a list of about 9 points that essentially were going to get confirmed at D23, but we can now confirm that this is actually 100% false because one of the points was already proven wrong thanks to Kevin Feige's presentation at SDCC 2019. So at the bottom it says, edit, Jordan Peele isn't interested in directing Blade. So the first point on this list was that Jordan Peele would be under the eyes of Marvel to direct Blade, but now we know Blade isn't coming out till Phase 5, so I'm sure they're not even close to picking a director yet. We never know. Maybe they are ahead in that sense and may have picked somebody else, but we definitely know Jordan Peele isn't interested, so that already throws off this entire list. But back to the leak from the Marvel Scoop Master, he then said, I knew I'd have to share what I do know about D23. Here's some information on what I've heard Marvel will be showing. First and foremost, there will be very little, if anything at all, relating to Phase 5. People seem to think that Marvel only showed Phase 4 at SDCC, but will show off Phase 5 at D23. But this actually isn't the case, so don't expect any X-Men or Fantastic Four updates. Mahershala as Blade was an exception, if only because he approached Marvel for a role he was interested in. I would love to be surprised, but there's nothing planned. Now, quick side note, I love the fact that Mahershala Ali was interested in the character of Blade, wanted to do a reboot, and actually reached out to Kevin Feige and Marvel about doing this film. I absolutely love that, and because he's an Academy Award winning actor, they definitely were like, hell yeah, we're going to be doing that. Let's get it into production. But the best they could do at SDCC was announce who was playing Blade, showed the logo, and confirmed that it was a Phase 5 film. Nothing else beyond that was confirmed because I'm sure he approached them not too long ago about this role, so they don't have too much planned for the movie, which is why it's not a Phase 4 project. But he then goes on to say, what you will see is more information on the established Phase 4 properties. Many of the movies coming in Phase 4 lack concrete information on villains, side characters, etc. Don't expect footage, but there will be a lot of concept art shown for Phase 4 connectivity with the Eternals and the MCU thus far. If you've read the 06-07 Neil Gaiman run, you know what to expect. I'm also hearing we'll see what Jane Foster's Thor looks like, but again, concept art. There will hopefully be announcements on casting, but this is dependent on whether they close the casting. Shang-Chi was cast days before SDCC, but if they didn't cast the role, they'd have to skip. Marvel will obviously try to cast the roles of Nightmare, Beta Ray Bill, Gore, the Benefactor, and many more. Still, if they don't have the roles filled, we'll have to wait. So don't be too sad if we don't get these announcements, although they will come eventually. So to wrap that up real quick, Shang-Chi wouldn't have been announced at SDCC if they didn't have him cast before the event. Just a quick reminder on that. Disney Plus will be the biggest showing. This is one of the biggest promotional events prior to the service's release. They are going to try to drum up support to get their base subscriber numbers up. So expect a lot of news on cameos, casting, storylines, etc. There won't be any new shows announced, but we will get to see some of these existing shows fleshed out. there's always the chance of a surprise. Still, I wouldn't hold out hope for anything huge. From what I'm hearing, they aren't going to show any 2022 and forward content until San Diego Comic-Con 2021. This might be disappointing to hear, but Marvel felt particularly burned out by Inhumans and a few smaller shifts in their schedule. They're keeping their reveals tight and short to avoid announcing something that falls through or changes. So as we've gone over before, take a look at Phase 3, right? So you look at Phase 3, Kevin Feige announced it. This is back before Ike Perlmutter and Jeff Loeb were specifically moved on the Marvel television side of things. This is when they still had influence over movies and projects that would significantly impact the MCU as we know it. We had different release dates for Captain Marvel, Black Panther, we had an Inhumans movie in there. Right when Kevin Feige got them the fuck out and he was then in charge of everything MCU related, we then had a shift in the Phase 3 schedule. You had Sony making a deal with Marvel, you got a Spider-Man solo movie in there, you then got rid of the Inhumans movie completely, and we kind of, shifted the release dates for Captain Marvel and Black Panther. But it still worked out perfectly in the end. We then changed the title of Avengers 4, and they got everything under control for a very meaningful end to the Infinity Saga here in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, taking a look at that, changes can always happen within these phases. And obviously, with how Phase 4 is looking so concrete, I wouldn't expect any major changes to that slate. The only thing I could see happening is Sony stepping in at some point, either at D23 or at a separate announcement, a Sony panel, whenever that could be. They're going to step in and say, you know what, we want to keep a consistent schedule of solo Spider-Man movies releasing every other year. So what they would do is say, you know what, in Phase 4, during this little gap, whatever the gap is, they'll throw in Spider-Man 3. And then from then on, they can also confirm that they're going to renew their contract with Disney and Marvel. They're going to continue doing Spider-Man projects with Tom Holland. And maybe, just maybe, if Sony can actually wake up out of their delusions, they can see that a villain universe on their side just won't work without Spider-Man. There's nothing they could do that would significantly impact the viewers and the interest on their little villain universe. Nothing they can do can make it any better. What they need to do is give Disney and Marvel those villains and all those characters that they're holding back so that they can fully be fleshed out in the MCU. They can fully face Tom Holland Spider-Man without having some complicated storyline where maybe one day Sony's like, we're going to put Tom Holland Spider-Man in our villain universe and he'll be the same character but he can't reference any of the MCU events. That just would go completely against his character, would ruin everything. I hope they don't do that at any point, but my point being that, that those are the only changes that can happen with Phase 4 because everything looks very concrete right now. A lot of cast has already been announced for a majority of these Phase 4 projects. The Disney Plus series are coming along nicely, and I do think everything is set in stone. But you never know, we could see some changes here and there. But as I also mentioned in a previous video, Phase 4 is a bit of a break from this big, massive, crossover, crazy threat type of movie, and is really taking a break in that sense, and is going in a very simple direction, introducing us to new characters that may be important later, and kind of wrapping up some loose ends for characters like Thor, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, The Vision. It's not leading up against anything crazy, it's not leading up towards some massive crossover, it's just being very simple, taking a break from all that and kind of just going back to the roots of the MCU, something they're good at, which is introducing us to new characters, which is going to be great. So we're taking a break from all that, and it makes sense that Phase 5 is when we get back into the massive team-ups and taking a look at, what's to come, who the next threat is, with Black Panther 2, Captain Marvel 2, and so many other films as well, Guardians 3. I'm pretty sure those 3 movies alone will be setting up a majority of the future for the MCU as we know it. And I think within Phase 5, as Kevin Feige himself has said, that's when you'll see the implementation of mutants and Deadpool and the Fantastic Four and all these assets that they weren't able to legally use in the past. And I think it is best to wait until Phase 5 because it does seem like Phase 4 was legitimately planned out right before Endgame came out, maybe even sooner than that. But it was planned out to the point where right when they bought Fox, they're like, yeah, you know what, we're happy we have these characters now, but we're just not ready to put them in the MCU right now. We want to write them in a meaningful way to where they fit in perfectly in an already established universe from 23, 24 films already, So going off that, I don't expect D23 to be as crazy surprising as people are speculating it to be. I don't think there is any extension to Phase 4 that people are expecting. Kevin Feige already confirmed that SDCC, that the slate we saw for Phase 4 is the entire slate for the phase itself. People were speculating that we're going to see another half of Phase 4 announced at D23. People were speculating that Phase 5 would somehow be announced. it's too soon for that. Kevin Feige even said himself that, we should be happy with what was announced, and they felt like that was just the right amount, and they didn't want to go any further than that, even though they technically could just get some logos put together for the guaranteed projects that'll be in Phase 5. They just don't feel like they need to do that right now. They feel like they've announced enough, and again, it might be another year and a half, another 2 years before they come out and say, hey, here's what Phase 5 is going to be. Phase 4 may still be going on before they even announce Phase 5, so we might see the last couple projects of Phase 4, WandaVision, Doctor Strange. We might see those projects, and then some point after that, we'll see an announcement for Phase 5. But I can almost speculate that before Thor Love and Thunder comes out is when we'll get an official Phase 5 announcement, since as it says in this post here on Reddit, we may not get any projects from 2022 and forward until SDCC 2021. So it's a bit of a while away. So once that SDCC comes around, it's probably when we'll see an announcement for Phase 5. But I definitely think it's going to hold up really, really well against our expectations. I think everyone's speculating about Fox assets, Blade, Black Panther, Captain Marvel. We already almost have the entire slate for Phase 5. We have Captain Marvel 2, Black Panther 2, Guardians 3, Blade, Mutants, Deadpool, Fantastic Four. That's already 6 or 7 projects just off the top of my head. On top of that, you can have Sony probably stepping in to be like, you know what, we want to do a Spider-Man 4, we want to do some more team-ups and crossovers, possibly a new Avengers project. There's so many projects that can already fit perfectly with Phase 5. That's not even including potential Disney Plus series, some rumored ones in the past, some ones we don't even, know about just yet, ones we haven't expected. There's so much that can go into Phase 5 that I almost think some of those projects we're already thinking of could even be for Phase 6. We just have no idea. But in terms of casting the Benefactor, Beta Ray Bill, if they do get those cast members down, then they can easily announce that at D23. But as this person said, if this is in fact true, it just wouldn't be something they go over or confirm if they don't have a cast ready by the time the event actually begins in the next few weeks. So it does make sense. They don't want to announce a big major project if their lead star or the person playing the main character in the damn project is not ready yet, or is not available, or is not casted. So it makes sense that they would hold off any big announcements like that. But let me know what you think of all this down below in the comment section. This has been DK Dynamite. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn notifications on to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Marvel news and information. And peace out, everyone.